You're looking to get referrals and leads, and perhaps you've gone through everybody that you already know. So you need to find some people outside of those to help you get those referrals in your business. And you're wondering, okay, how to start networking? How do I do this? Well, that is the question that we're going to answer in today's video. I am Tiffanie Kellog, excited to be here with you as we're going to talk all about how to start networking. Now, this is such a big conversation that we actually have a series of videos that talk about how to start networking, how to do it online, how to use social media, as well as the relationships that you already know. So in the description below, I will include links to those other videos. Today, we're going to talk about how to do this networking thing, going to a networking event, doing those in-person events. And the first thing that we're going to be doing in this video is taking a look at what are the different types of networking groups, which could be right for you. The second thing, I'm going to share 10 questions to ask, to consider when you are looking at joining a networking group. The third component that we're going to talk about is what you need to do to be successful inside that networking group. And last, though certainly not least, we're going to take a look at, sometimes I think networking can be a little deceiving in that, hey, I go join in this networking group, I'm going to get referrals and leads automatically. We're going to explore what you have to do to make sure you do get those referrals, taking it to the next level. Now, if you're like, oh, I want that third, but not the second, do know you can, in the description below, click on the time if you want to skip ahead to one of the conversations. So let's dive in. When it comes to how to start networking, we have to start somewhere. Jeanine shared, get it on your calendar and go. And yeah, I think sometimes we want to just get it on the calendar. Let's get out there and start networking. Now, MJ also added, go to several meetings before deciding if it's a good fit. And yes, I think when it comes to networking, we have a huge opportunity. There's so many different choices out there. And we want to find the right event. We want to find the right group that fits our needs and what we're looking to create. There are so many different types of networking opportunities out there. There are actually 7 different types of networking organizations, 6 that we're going to talk about here in this video, because the 7th is online. We've got a whole nother video for that. We really want to focus on the in-person groups. Now, some of them do have events that are hybrid as well, and groups online. So there is that, but these are usually or typically, or pre to 2020, these were groups that were based in person. So if we start off, the first type of group is your casual contact group. These are like the Chamber of Commerce, where there's multiple people from many professions that get together, typically geography based. And each chamber kind of has its different flavor. Is it very active in the government? Is it active in the community, socially? There's different things. And so like MJ says, go check it out. You always want to see if it's your right flavor. The second type of group is what we call strong contact groups. These are similar to BNI, where they meet on a weekly basis with an intention to create referrals, and it's one per profession. So you get the opportunity to be the only one that does what you do inside the group. And the third type of group that you can do are going to be community service clubs. This is the Rotary, the Kiwanis, the Lions, Tigers, and Bears. Oh my! These are groups that are community-based. They're service-based. They're looking to give back. And so it's really not about the business. However, there are lots of movers and shakers that hang out at those type of groups. So that may be a good fit for you. The fourth type of group we have is professional associations. Now, a lot of people aren't going to network their own professional association. If you can, that's great. So we also look at, what is your professional association built around your target market or your ideal client? To me, if I can go to a group and the room is full of my target market, brilliant. Even better is if I can find a group, a professional association built around my contact sphere. Now, contact spheres are these non-competing industries, same target market. So I walk into a room full of people that are my potential referral sources. It's awesome. And if you're not sure, like, what is my target market? What are my contact sphere relationships? I have a program, I'll put the link in the description below, called MORE Referrals. It's 5 steps to referral success. And step 1 is target market. Step 2 is contact spheres. So we'll get you squared away with that. So we've talked about strong contact, casual contact, community service, professional associations. The 5th is going to be gender and ethnic organizations. So this could be, I know here in the Tampa Bay market, we have a ton of groups. We've got like the Hispanic Women's Professional Association. We have the Central Caribbean Chamber of Commerce. So it could be a group that's built around ethnicity or gender. The 6th of the 7th is going to be social groups. These are groups that don't meet for a business purpose. However, sometimes these can be a great opportunity for referrals. When I was in my bowling league years ago and I had a promotional company, we ended up doing shirts for almost every team in the league. And so I was able to get some business. Phil, my buddy in Dubai, his salsa club gives him tons of referrals. Sarah, a local realtor, uses her sailing group to do some networking. So we do have an opportunity to use some of our social clubs to be a part to feed our referrals. Now, if you're listening to that thinking, oh my gosh, Tiffanie, 6 groups is a lot. Okay, I think 6 is too many. Ideally, you want to pick 3 networking groups that you want to be a part of. And it makes it easier for you to pass referrals back and forth. If you're in 1 or 2, you don't have as many people that you need, and it's hard to develop those relationships. And 4 or more just does get to be a lot because you're going to need to work them. But I'll talk a little bit more about that later. And just to kind of wrap up this conversation of, what's the right group for me? I do want to go to one of our founding members of our Referrals for Life community, Jason Avery, for his answer to this question, how to start networking.
To get started in networking, you got to get started networking. Go out there and attend some events and put yourself out in the public. Visibility is the first step. You have to be there, be present, and engage with people. And step 2, we're going to work on deepening relationships. But you got to get out into the groups first. I suggest that more than one group so that you have the ability to cross-pollinate your groups. And a strong contact network, a social contact network, maybe a community-based charity type of organization. But you got to know people if you're going to introduce people to people, and introducing people to people is the key to networking.
Thank you so much, Jason. Really appreciate that. And speaking of being appreciative, I am so thankful for our Asentiv Mastermind communities. We have several communities that meet on a monthly basis, and each member gets to ask a question, and then other people give answers. And this is one of our questions from a recent Asentiv Mastermind community, how to start networking. So we appreciate the opportunity to answer this. And here's what Matt Lowe had to say about the Asentiv Mastermind community.
I love the fact that I can come with a question and there are multiple people who can help me get different perspectives, not just an answer I was looking at, but different answers to that question, and give me action points to move out of that meeting with.
Okay, it's time for us to talk about questions you may want to consider prior to joining a networking group. This is from Asentiv's Ignite Your Business program, and I'll actually put this worksheet into the comments below so that you can click and download. Number 1, what is your intention? Now, as you're looking at the group, know that different groups have different intentions. For example, if I'm joining a social club, I'm going to have to keep in mind that it's not there for business. Whereas if I'm joining a strong contact networking group, then I know, yes, there is business to be happening. So we want to think, what is the intention? Number 2 is, does the organization have your target market as prospects? And the answer to this needs to be yes, unless you can say yes to question number 3, which is, does this organization have your referral sources, your contact sphere relationship as members? You need to be able to say yes to question 2 or 3. It doesn't have to be both, though. If it's both, bonus. Has to be yes to at least one of those 2. The 4th is, how long has the organization been in existence? It's an interesting thing. This is one of those questions. Longer isn't necessarily better, though. If they've been in existence for 3 months, I wonder about the stability of them. Years ago, I was in 2 Chamber of Commerces, and Chamber of Commerce A was, 5 or 10 years old. It was in a new area. The membership was young and it was exciting and lots of opportunity to connect. Chamber B had been around since, the 50s or the 60s. And it was very much an old boys club. And while they liked me because I'm like 20 and blonde at the time, I wasn't getting a lot of business and referrals. So sometimes it is nice to have the longevity. Sometimes, so there's no right or wrong here, just a question to consider. Question 5 is, what is the philosophy of the organization? And so I like to know what the organization is all about because I want to make sure that it's in line with what I'm looking for. Number 6 is, how many members does it have? And again, this is one of those, the right answer isn't necessarily more. If you've got 500 people that are a member of the group and 3 show up to each event, well, One of the things that I love about BNI as an organization is that they do, in support of the members, have an attendance policy. And so on an average meeting, you're going to have 95 to 100% of the members there. And you'll be able to see them. Whereas I've known there's a 2,000 member chamber, and so they would have 100 people, but we're missing 1,900. Now, 100 people at an event may be good. So just another thing to consider. Number 7 is, what is the quality of the membership? And an example that I use when I'm thinking about this is the South Tampa Chamber of Commerce here in the state of Florida. For them, a small business is 25 employees and under. The Wesley Chapel Chamber of Commerce is 5 employees and under for a small business. So the size of the business is different. And so that could be one way that you measure the quality. Number 8 is, how often does it meet? And I think this does make a difference, because the more frequently the meetings are, the quicker you get to move through that know, like, and trust. Conversely, if the group only meets quarterly, and what happens if you miss one meeting and it's quarterly? It's like 6 months in between the meetings. So I think that if you're in 3 groups that meet on a weekly, that might be a lot in your schedule. However, maybe it's like 1 meets on a weekly, 1 meets a monthly, and then 1 has a couple of meetings during the month. Maybe find a balance that works for you. Just know the more it meets, the easier it is to move through the know, like, and trust process. Number 9, how do others feel about the group? So if I'm considering a group, I'll often put out there on social media, hey, who here is a member of XYZ? And then when I have people say yes, then I will follow up with a private message, an email, a text, a call. I'm not putting this on blast on social media because I want people to be honest with me. And so I'll say, hey, I'm thinking about, joining the XYZ chamber. What do you think of it? And so you can get some ideas from other members on, oh, yeah, it was good, but not so much. Or, oh, my gosh, I love it. I would highly, highly, highly recommend it. And last, though not least, number 10, can I become a relevant or important player in this organization? I remember years ago, one of my clients that was taking Asentiv's Ignite Your Business asked, hey, Tiffanie, do you think we should join the Wesley Chapel Chamber? Now, my husband at the time was on the board. We were very, very active in the chamber when we had our promotional products business. And while I would love to say, yes, you should, they did insurance. And I think at the time there were 3 board members that did insurance that were at almost every meeting. They were super, super active. And I'm like, while I love the organization, you're going to have a really hard time being that relevant player, because you're going to be lucky if you can get the number 4 spot. Because I'm not talking about how many other insurance agents there were in there, but just the top 3. I'm like, you're going to be fighting for it. So let's look at a different group. We have 10 questions now to consider when we're looking at, is this group right for me or not? Now, just because you get to be a part of a group, though, doesn't mean that everything's going to happen right away. And so our third component in today's video is, what is it going to take to be successful? Dr. Ivan Misner, who founded BNI, the largest strong contact networking group across the globe, he has a quote he likes to say, it's not net sit or net eat, it's called net work. So you are going to have to do some work if you're going to create some success. Carola mentioned a very similar thing on social media. It involves effort on their part. The work in networking, they embrace it. It will be rewarding 1,000 times over. So you need to show up if you're going to be successful. You need to be at the events. You need to meet with people outside of the events to get to know them better. You may want to volunteer, whether that's being on the board or an ambassador or a diplomat, chairing a committee or being a part of a committee. You have to work it. So you can't just say, here's my check or here's my credit card. I'm a part of the group. Where are my referrals? You actually have to work those relationships. And that brings me to the 4th point that we want to have. So in the 4.5 networking mistakes, so this is the first book that I did. We talk about all the things that the experts tell you to do, though maybe there's a better way to do it. And networking mistake number 4 is thinking that just going networking is enough. And it's not. You've got to develop those relationships. You have to develop the know, like, and trust with people so that they will want to refer you. So in addition to showing up, you may want to get together with them, them being individual members, and have a coffee and get to learn about each other's business and be proactive in your referral generation. And that if you do the MORE Referrals 5 steps to referral success, it'll actually walk you through how you do and develop those relationships so you can get to a point to generate the referrals. I just want to make sure that we realize, just going to the networking events, just being a part of the groups is not enough. You can network nowadays in the Zoom world, you can network 24/7. But if we're not developing the relationships, the referrals aren't going to come. So down in the comments below, let me know, what are your thoughts? What are the questions you ask when you're considering being a part of the group? And what kind of groups are you a part of? Which do you love being in? And while you're down there, be sure to like this video and subscribe to get notifications on other videos on how you can make the most of your networking. Happy networking, y'all.